Snow White. There was once a beautiful princess who was born with lips as red as blood, skin as white as snow, and hair as black as ebony. So white was her skin that she was called Snow White. Snow White's mother died soon after she was born, and her father, the king, married again. The new queen was very proud of her beauty and hated anyone who was more beautiful than she. This proud queen would stand before her magic mirror and say, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" The magic mirror would reply, "You are the fairest, O my queen." This would make the queen very happy because she knew that the mirror only spoke the truth. As Snow White grew from a child to a young lady, she became more beautiful each day. One day, the queen looked in the mirror, her magic mirror, and asked, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" And the mirror replied, "You once were fairest, O my queen, but Snow White's fairest to be seen." The queen was furious. No one dared be fairer than she. She was so jealous of Snow White that she called one of the king's hunters to her. "I want you to take Snow White into the forest and kill her," the queen said. "Bring me her heart, so I will know that she is dead." The hunter took Snow White into the forest, and when they were a long way from the palace, he drew his knife. Snow White saw that he meant to harm her, and she begged the hunter to spare her life. "Please let me live," she wept. "I'll run away deep into the forest and never come home again. Please, I beg you." The hunter was so touched by the Snow White's tears and her beauty that he took pity on her. "Run away," he said, "quickly, before I change my mind." And Snow White ran away at once. The hunter chased and killed a wild pig, cut out its heart, and brought it back to the queen. She received it with great joy, for she believed that Snow White was dead. "Now I am the fairest of them all once again," she said gleefully. In the meantime, Snow White ran through the bushes and thickets, over stones and logs. She ran until she could run no further. She was lost and frightened. She sat down to rest under a tree. It was getting dark, and she wanted to find a place to spend the night. Suddenly, between the bushes, she saw a little house. She ran towards it and knocked at the door. No one answered, so she went in. Everything inside was little, but neat and clean. There was a little table with 7 little plates, 7 little bowls, 7 little mugs, 7 little knives, 7 little forks, and 7 little spoons. In each bowl was some porridge. On each plate was a slice of bread, and in each mug was some wine. Snow White was very hungry and very thirsty, so she ate a little from each bowl of porridge, took a little bite from each slice of bread, and drank a little sip from each mug of wine. Then Snow White realized how very tired she was. Where could she rest? Against one wall she found 7 little beds lined up in a row. Snow White lay down on one of them and soon fell fast asleep. As she slept, the people who lived in the little house came home. They were 7 little dwarfs who spent their days digging for gold and silver in the hills. As soon as they came in, the dwarfs knew that someone had been in their house. They lit 7 little lanterns and went about looking for the intruder. When they found Snow White asleep in one of their beds, they all crowded around to look at her. "How beautiful she is," sighed a dwarf. "What a lovely child," sighed another. They all stood there, lost in wonder. Snow White was sleeping so soundly the dwarfs decided not to disturb her. In the morning, when Snow White woke up, she was frightened when she saw the 7 little men. However, they were very kind to her and made her breakfast. While they all ate, Snow White told the 7 dwarfs what had happened to her. The dwarfs agreed that Snow White could never go back to the palace. "Why don't you stay here with us?" they asked. "You can keep house for us, and we'll give you a home." "I'd like that very much," said Snow White, who was happy to find such kind friends. And so Snow White stayed with the dwarfs and kept house for them. Every day the dwarfs went into the hills to dig for gold and silver. Every evening when they came home evening they came home to find dinner ready and the house neat and clean. But all day long Snow White was left alone. "Be careful," the dwarfs warned her. "Some day your stepmother, the queen, will find out where you are. You must never let anyone in the house while we are away." The queen believed that Snow White was dead, and that she was the fairest woman in the kingdom. Then, one day, she stepped in front of her mirror and said, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" To her surprise, the mirror replied, "You were once fairest, O my queen, but Snow White's fairest to be seen. She lives with dwarfs in the forest green, over 7 hills that lie between." The queen was mad with rage because she realized that the hunter had deceived her. She was more jealous than ever of Snow White and more determined to get rid of her. So she dressed herself in old clothes and put a basket over one arm. Disguised as a peddler woman, she crossed the 7 hills. When she found the dwarf's home, she knocked at the door and called, "Scarves for sale! Beautiful scarves for sale!" Snow White came to the window at once. "Good day, old woman," she said. "What are you selling?" "Scarves, beautiful scarves," cried the old woman. "Would you like to try one on?" "She looks like an honest old woman," said Snow White to herself, and she opened the door to let her in. "I have such a lovely scarf for you," said the old woman. "Here, let me put it on for you." She placed a scarf around Snow White's neck and pulled it so tight that Snow White gasped for breath and fell down as though she was dead. "Now I am the fairest of them all," cried the old woman, and she hurried away. Not long after, the dwarfs came home and found their lovely housekeeper lying on the floor, not breathing. Seeing the scarf around her neck, they untied it and took it off. At once Snow White began to breathe and come back to life. When she told the dwarfs what had happened, they said, "The old woman must have been your wicked stepmother in disguise. You must be more careful and allow no one in." When the queen returned to the palace, she went at once to the mirror and said, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" And the mirror replied, "You were once fairest, O my queen, but Snow White's fairest to be seen. She's still with the dwarfs in forest green, over 7 hills that lie between." The queen knew that she had failed to kill Snow White, but she refused to give up. She dipped a comb in poison, and when it was dry, she placed it in her basket. She set off again, disguised this time as an old beggar woman. When she reached the dwarf's house, she knocked at the door and called out, "Combs for sale, ribbons so fair, everything pretty for your hair." Snow White looked out the window and said, "Go away, please, I can't let you in." "Don't you want to look at what I have?" pleaded the old woman. "At least you can look even if you don't buy." She held up the poisoned comb. It was so beautiful that Snow White forgot the door's warming and let the old beggar woman in. "What a lovely comb," said Snow White. "Does it go well with my hair?" "Let me see," said the old woman, and she drew the comb through Snow White's hair. The poison began to work at once. Snow White fell down as though she was dead. "Now you are no longer fairer than me," cried the queen, and she left at once. However, it was evening and time for the dwarfs to return. When they saw Snow White lying on the floor, they knew what had happened. One of them found the comb in her hair and pulled it out. Snow White opened her eyes and recovered in a short while. Once again she told her friends what had happened, and once again they warned her against her stepmother, the queen. When the queen returned to the palace, she went to her mirror at once, and again it told her that Snow White was still alive. This made the queen so angry and mad with jealousy that she was more determined than ever to kill Snow White. She went into the palace orchard and picked the most beautiful apples she could find. After dipping it into poison, she placed it in a basket filled with fruit. Then, disguised as a gypsy woman, she crossed the 7 hills and once more knocked at the door of the dwarf's house. "Go away," said Snow White through the window. "I cannot let anyone in." "That is too bad," said the gypsy woman. "I'm giving away the last of my apples." And she held one up for Snow White to see. The apple looked so red and juicy and so delicious that Snow White could not resist. She reached through the window, took the apple, and bit into it. At once she fell into the ground as though she was dead. "Now I've gotten rid of you at last," cried the queen joyfully. And she left at once for her palace, where she went immediately to the mirror. "Mirror, mirror, on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" And the mirror replied, "You are the fairest, oh my queen." And so, at last, the queen's jealousy was satisfied, and she was happy. But when the dwarfs came home that night and found Snow White, they were very sad. This time, nothing they did could bring her back to life. They placed her on her bed and stood around it, crying for 3 days and 3 nights. They couldn't bring themselves to bury her, so they built a glass case around her so that everyone could see her beauty. They placed the glass case on a huge rock in the forest, and every day one of the dwarfs remained there on guard. Snow White lay in her glass case for a long time, looking as if she were asleep, for her lips remained red as blood, her skin white as snow, and her hair black as ebony. One day a handsome young prince was traveling through the forest. When he came to the rock, he climbed up and looked through the glass at Snow White. He fell in love with her at once. The prince wanted to take her away with him in her glass case. He offered the dwarfs a king's ransom, but they refused to give her up. Then the prince said, "I cannot live without this beautiful princess, for I love her more than my life. Give her to me, and I will love and protect her as long as I live." When the dwarfs saw that he was truly in love with Snow White, they took pity on him and let him take her away. The glass case was lifted off the rock and placed on the shoulders of 10 servants. Then the prince set off for his kingdom, taking Snow White with him, followed by the 7 dwarfs. In morning, as they walked through the forest, one of the servants stumbled over a log, and the glass case was bounced about. The shock made the piece of the apple, which had been in Snow White's mouth all this time, fall out. And she opened her eyes and sat up. Raising the lid of the glass case, she called out, "Where am I?" The prince was overjoyed, and so were the dwarfs. They all continued on to the prince's palace, where preparations were made for the prince's marriage to a beautiful, mysterious princess. Kings, queens, princesses, and princes from every kingdom were invited, including the wicked queen, Snow White's stepmother. On the day of the wedding, the queen was dressing when she looked in the mirror and said, "Mirror, mirror, on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" The mirror replied, "You are fairest, O my queen, but Snow White's fairest to be seen. She'll wed the prince before nightfall and remain fairest of them all." The queen became so outraged, she smashed the mirror with her fist, cutting herself so badly she bled to death. The mirror, as always, had spoken the truth. Snow White was, and remained, the fairest of them all. And that is the end of Snow White, told by the Grimm brothers. This is the fairy tale book, and thank you guys all for listening, and I'll see you for the next story.